Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
I tried to turn it off, like with the fire. With the extinguisher, I was trying to turn it off, and like it got on fire even more.
A grieving son who lost both parents when their home caught fire just learned tonight his sister has also died. A tragedy that continues to grow for a family in Logan Heights.
Tonight, friends held a vigil for the victims and two siblings still in the hospital. Our 10 News reporter Anthony Pura is live at the house. And Anthony, you spoke to the son who says some are blaming him.
Yeah, and it's very hard for him to hear that. It's been a very emotional night for him as news about his sister came shortly after the community came together, lit candles, and prayed for his family.
Lord God, we are going to continue to reach out to him. We ask you to bless him now.
A community in mourning surrounded a man faced with unimaginable loss. 26-year-old Wilbur Romero's parents died after a fire ripped through their Logan Heights home early Sunday morning. Here's a picture of his family. His sister Iris, in the middle wearing blue, died in the hospital Tuesday. Another sister and brother are still being treated for injuries.
Once I could see them, like, I hope that they want to see me, because my sister thinks that like I wasn't trying to help her out because I got a panic attack. So like I started screaming for help.
He remembers the fire spreading quickly.
The fire got like to a point that it was right next to a heater, so like I tried to turn it off, like with the fire. With the extinguisher, I was trying to turn it off, and like it got on fire even more.
Byron Doxey stopped by the house hoping to get an update on the family's condition. He said he was passing by the home during the fire. He kicked through the door and helped one of Wilbur's sisters get out.
Her whole back of her body was ablaze. We were putting the fire out in her back. Her hair was singed to her shoulders.
The family lived next door to this church. Though they didn't attend services there, the members joined Wilbur to light candles and pray for his family.
Here we are, and to show our love toward our community.
And you can see here friends and family members that came from the hospital. They are here gathered outside of the home tonight. Meanwhile, we are told that investigators are still looking for a cause for the fire. We're reporting live tonight. Anthony Pura, 10 News.
Neighbors helping neighbors. Thank you, Anthony. Well, friends have set up a GoFundMe to help the family with funeral and medical expenses. We have put the link with the story on our homepage, 10news.com.
Things are returning to normal in Talmadge tonight after a brush fire created panic and cut power to thousands. That fire broke out early this afternoon off Fairmont Avenue. 10 News reporter Michael Chen shows the earlier efforts to get people out.
Flames sweeping across a hill just before 2 in the afternoon. A wall of thick black smoke in tow. Police going door to door with mandatory evacuations along Norma Drive, Constance Drive, and Natalie Drive. Firefighters tell me it was pretty scary for a good 20 minutes. We're told a combination of a brisk wind and burning tall palms threw up embers that lit up a hillside across the street. 3 helos quickly on scene. We saw water drop after water drop. Flames getting to within 150 feet of some backyards. Within 45 minutes, fire crews getting a good handle on that fire. The evacuation orders then lifted. JR lives on Norma Drive. He tells me what he encountered at the beginning of the fire.
Starting to calm down. So when I first went in the back, I smelled smoke. Ash was raining, snowing out of the sky. I came out here, I could see it was right there. I went out back and it was coming right at my house.
Back out, you can see some of those tall burned palms that really fueled this fire. The cause of this fire, still undetermined. Michael Chen, 10 News.
At its peak, roughly 4,000 customers lost power. SDG&E cut the electricity as the fire burned near power lines. And this was bad news for businesses in the area that ended up closing for the day. The power came back on for most people about 6 o'clock this evening.
A developing story out of the East Bay area. A fire that erupted at an energy facility today and destroyed 2 tanks is now contained. Those flames and large plumes of smoke, they were seen billowing over the New Star refinery in Crockett. These tanks hold thousands of gallons of ethanol. People in the area, they're being told to stay inside. No word yet on what sparked the fire.
And a magnitude 3.4 earthquake shook the San Francisco Bay Area tonight. Its epicenter near the same spot in Pleasant Hill where a 4.5 quake struck last night. And that earthquake knocked items off store shelves, but it didn't cause major damage or injuries. Earlier today, a magnitude 4.7 quake rattled parts of central California. The shaking registered in Southern California. New tonight, 3 men have been indicted for recruiting San Diego area high school students to become human smugglers. 2 men from San Diego and 1 from Baja, California, are accused of being part of a migrant smuggling operation out of Mexico. Prosecutors say they recruited young drivers from local high schools, many times putting ads on Craigslist.
Your voice, your vote. The Democratic presidential candidates defended their positions and attacked each other during tonight's 4th debate.
Each tried to set themselves apart with less than 4 months to go before the first primaries. 10 News anchor Lindsay Pena is joining us now with the major takeaways and who came out on top. Lindsay?
Yeah, that's right. Kim and Steve, there are still 12 candidates in this field, but based on recent polls, the top 3 are still Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, and Elizabeth Warren. And Warren appears to be gaining ground and was definitely a target tonight.
And welcome back to this.
Tuesday's Democratic presidential debate set the stage for new issues and, based on the candidates' criticism, a new frontrunner. Senator Elizabeth Warren, who's been surging in recent polls, frequently finding herself on defense. At one point asked yes or no, would her Medicare for All plan raise taxes?
Costs will go up for the wealthy and for big corporations, and for hardworking middle-class families, costs will go down.
Other candidates then pouncing.
Well, we heard it tonight, a yes or no question that didn't get a yes or no answer.
You are making Republican talking points right now in this room.
Those attacks a noticeable shift from the main target in previous debates, Vice President Joe Biden. Most candidates avoiding his entanglement with President Trump surrounding his son Hunter's business deals in Ukraine. Biden standing up for himself.
My son did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong.
The candidates also fielding questions on issues like gun control.
5 million assault weapons are on the streets of America today. During the course of this debate, 8 people will die from gun violence. The leading cause of death of young black men in America is gun violence, more than the top other 6 reasons totaled. This is a serious matter.
And the opioid crisis.
This is not a money problem. We all know this is a human problem. And part of helping people get the treatment that they need is to let them know that they're not going to be referred to a prison cell. They will be referred to treatment and counseling.
The one thing they all seemed to agree on, though, was the importance of defeating President Trump.
You know, we've got one shot to make Donald Trump a one-term president. And how we talk about each other in this debate actually really matters.
Now, I want to direct your attention to this graph right here. You can see Senator Elizabeth Warren dominating most of the stage time tonight, coming in at over almost 23 minutes of speaking time. The next debate is set for November. In the studio, Lindsay Pena, 10 News.
Thank you, Lindsay. And local Democrats gathered at the Mission Hills United Church of Christ to watch the debate.
What I want to hear is what their plans are for the future, what they plan to do to get the country back on the right track. That's the main thing I want to hear.
We also want to hear about health care. We think that everyone deserves to have health care in this country.
We're done with the cliches. We need answers. We need proposals for a bold new future.
Most of the people that we spoke with said they weren't quite ready to pick a favorite candidate.
Once feared kidnapped, now safe and sound. A missing Sylmar mother and her 3 children were found earlier today in San Diego. Liliana Lopez and her kids, they disappeared October the 9th. They were found when they crossed back into the U.S. at the San Ysidro port of entry. Detectives say Esteban Lopez is a possible suspect in their kidnapping. He is believed to be in Mexico.
A jury will now decide whether a man on trial for a deadly road rage incident is guilty of murder.
He had choices. He could have gone left, he could have run his errands, he could have gone home. He chose to pull out of traffic and follow after Mr. Williams.
Prosecutors say Horace Williams got upset when Ricky Smith cut him off on Sweetwater Road in Chula Vista. Eventually, there was a fender bender and Williams threw a soda cup at Smith's car. Prosecutors say both drivers stopped at some point and Smith fatally stabbed Williams. His attorney says it was self-defense.
Horace Williams attacked Ricky Smith. Ricky Smith was forced to defend himself as a last resort.
We'll let you know when a jury reaches a verdict.
The family of the British teenager killed in a car crash met with President Trump tonight. Harry Dunn was riding a motorcycle in England when a car allegedly driven by the wife of a U.S. diplomat crashed into him. His family hoped the president would intervene to send Anne Schoolis back to the UK to face charges. She returned to the U.S. days after the crash, claiming diplomatic immunity. President Trump told Dunn's parents that Schoolis will stay in the U.S.
Tonight, Democrats are expressing confidence in their ongoing impeachment inquiry into President Trump, but they announced they will not hold a vote to formally authorize the impeachment inquiry. Republicans pushed for a vote, claiming Democrats are not running a fair impeachment process. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi fired back at that claim.
They can't defend the president, so they're going to process. We're not going there.
This all comes as some of the president's closest allies, such as Vice President Mike Pence and Rudy Giuliani, refused to hand over documents on Ukraine despite being subpoenaed.
And with tensions continuing to grow, Russian troops have now moved into northern Syria following the recent withdrawal of U.S. troops. And tonight we are learning that Vice President Mike Pence will head to Turkey tomorrow to lead a delegation for ceasefire talks. But the idea of talks has already been rejected by Turkey. This all comes just over a week after President Trump announced he was pulling all of those U.S. forces out of northeastern Syria. Troops were in the region alongside the Kurdish forces in the fight against ISIS. This week, the president also authorized sanctions on Turkey as its violent attacks on Syria escalate.
Turkey's escalation of hostilities with the Syrian Kurdish partners who've helped the United States fight terrorism is completely and totally unacceptable.
Now in its second week, Turkey's offensive against Kurdish fighters has forced tens of thousands to leave their homes.